Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Free Will. Welcome to Trinity.
I have a problem with my spaceship. The engine is out of order. I am somewhere close to Jupiter or Saturn. I wonder if you can hand me some uranium isotopes. Please call me on.
Hello, brother. We can see your emergency kit. We have some uranium for you. We are just close to you, to them 165 million kilometers. If you go warp 2, you will be here in 15 minutes. Are you interested? Are you interested of uranium? You will get it very cheap. Just call me, decide quickly, because we are other customers.
Greeting the Galaxy Federal Police. Business with uranium is forbidden according to paragraph 76213/152C/124.309. You are identified, and we have our eyes upon you. Any attempts to make business with uranium imaging
will be stopped with force. We will
on you. And a message.
We got the tail logo. Mayday, mayday. We're going down. We're going down. We got the tail logo. Mayday, mayday. We're going down. We're going down. We got the tail logo. Mayday, mayday. We're going down. We're going down. We got the tail logo. Mayday, mayday. We're going down. We're going down.
Hello? Is anyone there? I need your help. Come to Darwin Plaza. Please, hurry. Hello? Is anyone there? You receive this. I need your help. Come to Darwin Plaza. Please, hurry. Hello? Is anyone there? If you receive this, I need your help. Come to Darwin Plaza. Please, hurry.
People have no chance to get their personal items out. They have no chance to call for help. And this is far away from most media outlets. You are amongst the very few journalists who have even seen this. European or American journalists who have even been here because people are afraid to come or it's too hard to come.
And one of the things we were told in Gaza by a very respected Palestinian psychologist who had just completed a study of 1,000 Palestinian children was that they had discovered that many of these Palestinian children no longer had a will to live, that they were so dehumanized and so affected by seeing their fathers particularly beaten by Israeli defense forces, that the psychological condition is one of the dimensions of the conflict that is not widely understood.
Palestinians called for an international observer force that would stop the violence, but this action was blocked by Israel. Finally, a group of Palestinian and Israeli human rights activists together created the International Solidarity Movement, which has brought people from around the world of all ages and backgrounds to provide a nonviolent international presence to try to fill this need. Rachel Corey, a 23-year-old American student, went to Gaza to join in these efforts, sending back emails to her parents.
I have been in Palestine for 2 weeks and 1 hour now, and I still have very few words to describe what I see. It is most difficult for me to think about what's going on here when I sit down to write back to the United States. Something about the virtual portal into luxury. I don't know if many of the children here have ever existed without tank shell holes in their walls, and the towers of an occupying army surveying them constantly from the near horizons. I think, although I'm not entirely sure, that even the smallest of these children understand that life is not like this everywhere. It was Sunday afternoon in Charlotte, about noon actually, and I received a phone call, and my son-in-law, Kelly, was on the phone, and he asked if Craig was there. And something about the way he asked made me realize, I felt right away that something was wrong. And then I asked, why, Kelly? And he hesitated for a minute, and he said, we've had some very sad news. And then my daughter, Sarah, I could hear her in the background, and she got on the telephone, and she said, Mom, it's Rachel. And I think the first words out of my mouth then were, is she dead?
We were opposing the demolition of farmland and other property, Palestinian property, by Israeli destruction forces and bulldozers. And the bulldozer drove up, and it kept going, and she tried to move back, but she couldn't move back, and she got caught underneath. She got caught underneath the bulldozer. Many other internationals began to surround the bulldozer and yell at it and tell it that there was somebody there, and it did not stop.
Where Rachel was killed, she was protecting a doctor's home. And that's important to realize. And the 3 children, his wife, she knew that family, and that doctor felt that Rachel was like a daughter to him. He bought that house. It was in the middle of the neighborhood. There were other rows of houses between his house and the border. Those other homes, those other streets were all destroyed, and now it was his turn. And I've had people say, well, she was in a war zone, and Cindy points out that war zone is people's neighborhoods. Those are children.
I'm here for other children. I'm here because I care. I'm here because children everywhere are suffering, and because 40,000 people die each day from hunger. I'm here because those people are mostly children. We have got to understand that the poor are all around us, and we're ignoring them. We have got to understand that these deaths are preventable. We have got to understand that people in third world countries think and care and smile and cry just like us. We have got to understand that they are us. We are them. My dream is to stop hunger by the year 2000. My dream is to give the poor a chance. My dream is to save the 40,000 people who die each day. My dream can and will come true if we all look into the future and see the light that shines there.
Oh, I had to run down here to Heberdiron. We've got the RRV down there. We got a crack in the frame, and they couldn't seem to find it, so I had to go down and show them where it was at. Sure enough, there's a crack in the frame, so they're going to have to V it out and grind the end of it.
You are proud of yourselves? What are you doing here? Look to yourself! Look to yourself! Instead of being on a beach or in a university, you are standing carrying your gun in the face of the civilians? What are you? Are you human? Put your eyes in my eyes and look to me. What are you doing here? You gave us. Where are you from? Russia? Go away. What are you doing here? You are blocking our city. Instead of being here, pointing your gun to the faces of the people. Go, see yourself. Think of the crimes that you are doing against the people. What are you doing here? It's hot for you, I know. It's too hot for you here. It's Jericho. You know that. This is the generation. This is the new generation of Israel. This is the democracy state in the Middle East. You can see how they've grown up their new generation. 3 years of washing their minds in order how to kill, how to hate, how to see the life from the security window. Open another window. It's the love window. You will see another life. It's better than this life. You look, what are you doing? You are pointing your gun. Any mistake from your gun will kill a person. You want to kill me? You can do it. Do it! Kill me! What are you doing here? You are proud of yourself?
That's pretty good, getting it back to Mars. Pretty good service. It's doing that for you.
Heberdiron, it's only been there since Thursday of last week. They just now getting around to it.
Oh, roger that, roger that. Yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at my grass. I need to cut that. It's getting long, boy, within that rain. Now it's starting to get a little warm. Looking at this grass, I said, I better...
When I began writing that book, I discovered from the CIA files that the Hungarian people, when they started that uprising, it began as an anti-Jewish pogrom. It was essentially an anti-Jewish revolution and not an anti-communist revolution to begin with. The Hungarian people regarded their government in the 1950s as being a Jewish government. And they regarded the secret police, the dreaded Államvédelmi Hatóság, the AVH, as being a Jewish secret police. And essentially it was, because when the Red Army entered Hungary in 1945, they brought back into Hungary all the Jews who had taken refuge in the Soviet Union, and they were the ones who got the plum jobs, and they were the ones who got the trustworthy jobs as secret police chiefs and as torturers. And that's why the Jews were so hated in Hungary by 1956, because they were regarded as the people who had inflicted this nameless misery on the Hungarian people. And so the uprising began as an anti-Jewish uprising. Every one of the Hungarian leaders at that time in 1956, Rákosi and Farkas and Gero and the rest of the Hungarian leaders, they were all Jews, and I never realized that when I set out to write it. It's an extraordinary fact, the way these things are kept away from the public consciousness.
There's a new man, it seems, at the top of the pile of Russia's super rich. Vladimir Lysin is the man with the money, showing enough business spark to amass a fortune of $19 billion. The steel tycoon was declared Russia's richest by the Finance magazine. The previous year's leader, Mikhail Prokhorov, was second, while Chelsea Football Club owner Roman Abramovich was rated third. Despite the economic crisis, the top 10 earners boosted their wealth by billion, good heavens, $billion to reach a staggering $140 billion. You can barely imagine it, can you?
The statement Henry Kissinger is a war criminal is a statement I've been making for many years. It's now not a piece of rhetoric, not a metaphor. It's a job description.
Across the US, Hitchens' improbable crusade attracted interest. With a pen for a lance, he was tilting at the windmill of Kissinger's reputation.
I can't have it said that I'm an anti-Semite or a Nazi sympathizer. That, I'm sorry, is too much. It crosses my line. And Dr. Kissinger by now will have heard, I think, from my lawyers, that he's to cease and desist from saying what he knows to be false.
I was not concerned that Kissinger would sue Harper's Magazine, because then Kissinger, would have to go to some form of legal disclosure. I mean, if you accuse the magazine or you accuse Hitchens of libel, then that allows our lawyers to ask questions and subpoena documents and try to establish the truth of the matter, and that is not something I think that Kissinger would welcome.
Kissinger's critics charge that his worldview blinded him to the human cost of the Cold War. Recently released documents reveal episodes in Indochina, Indonesia, and Chile, where Kissinger needlessly sacrificed human lives to pursue strategic goals.
That this man could operate at such a horrible level and not get exposed for year after year after year after year. How many people came out against him? It's an embarrassment to my profession. I gotta tell you, the dark side of Henry Kissinger is very, very dark.
Wars were fought, and in order to fight a war, governments had to borrow money. They borrowed money from these central banks. The central banks waxed rich because they loaned money and charged interest, then took over when one side prevails against the other. And when governments could not satisfy the indebtedness, then some of the natural wealth of that country flowed to the bankers. They would loan money to both sides in the conflict because they really didn't care who won or who lost. I mean, it's hurtful, but a Jew, Rothschild, loaned money to Adolf Hitler. A Jew, Rothschild. God damn it, you better not open your mouth to call me no anti-Semite.
So somebody just threw a water balloon at us. And now there's a crowd gathering because they're going to, they're saying that they're going to chase us away, and they're gathering numbers now. So there's a big flock of people that's going to chase us. Yeah, I'm not. So I'm not allowed to talk to anybody in the country? I'd say we're not very wanted around here. This place is no joke. We were down there just trying to talk to people. We found enough peace here today. It's no joke. Go off! I'm going to my car. I'm going to my car. Dude. Yeah.
Jewish?
I'm going to my car. There's so many things that are wrong. Dude, this is messed up. There goes my friend. See you.
Alternate Focus interviews Akai Sharon and Noam Kayut, both veterans of the Israeli Defense Forces. After thorough introspection, these young men have chosen to speak out about their experiences as self-described brutal occupiers of a disputed land.
Hundreds of thousands of families that couldn't have one peaceful night of sleep in their homes. I mean, who in today in the USA, in Israel, and anywhere else would be willing to live like that? Not knowing if at 2 o'clock in the morning 20 soldiers will take over your house for a week. Not knowing, sitting in your living room and suddenly hearing smashing on the wall, and there is a hole in the wall, and suddenly 20 soldiers come to visit.
A girl begged soldiers not to demolish her home's wall, but in vain. Soldiers commonly smash walls to get into adjacent houses. The army blew off the door and inside found Huda Hawaja mortally wounded on the floor. Ismail Hawaja clearly thought at that point his wife would live. He begged the army to let an ambulance through. There were delays. The camera captured the terror of the woman's young daughter and her brother's attempt to stop her from showing the soldiers her fear. After the mother was finally taken out, one of the soldiers spoke to the news crew. I don't know what we're doing here, he said. Purification, maybe. It's dirty here. I don't know why a good Hebrew boy should be here so far from his home.
What's your assessment of what Israel is doing in Gaza?
I can answer you with 2 words: a war crime. My government is now engaged in a massive war crime, killing hundreds of innocents. It's not just a war crime against the Palestinians, it's a crime against the Israeli people. And on behalf of thousands of Israelis that are demonstrating right now in the streets of Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, and in many other places, with Palestinians, with internationals, people from all kind of background and all parts of the Israeli society are completely ashamed and against this crazy assault. We know that you cannot kill, as Jewish people, we know that you cannot kill the desire of people to be free. As a Jewish person that was raised on all these values of liberation and humanity and freedom, we cannot kill the desire of the Palestinian people to live in freedom. And on behalf of those people in Israel and in the world, I want to call the international community, the Jewish community in the world, and everyone that listens to me now, please join our force to stop this massive killing. Please, for the sake of Israel, for the sake of Palestine, and for the sake
time for Guess Who's the Jew?
أرض إلى أهل وأصحاب، شيل خيمتك وانكلع أنت وجماعتك.
هذه أرض أخذتها وكالة يهودية من حكومة فلسطين في ورق من مندوب سامي.
هاي مش أرض المندوب الزفت حتى ينطيك إياها. شيل خيمتك وامشي أنت وياه.
مين يروح؟ ها؟ مين ينقلع؟ مين يشيل؟
Oh yeah, I forgot. This is a Disney universe.
Alrighty then.
In a few seconds' time, the woman on the right of your screen, a 58-year-old Palestinian, will be beaten up, along with her husband and one of her nephews. She's been herding her goats close to a Jewish settlement in the West Bank. From the direction of the settlement comes a group of masked men. Tamam al-Nawaja spent 3 days in hospital. She showed us her injuries, a broken arm, a fractured cheek. She says the settlers had given her a 10-minute warning to clear off from the land, but she and her husband had stood their ground. They don't want us to stay on our land, she told me, but we won't leave. We'll die here. It's ours. Indeed, the rest of the world regards Jewish settlements such as Susia as illegal, built on occupied territory. The attack near Susia was filmed on Sunday with one of 100 video cameras that an Israeli human rights group has handed out to Palestinians across the West Bank. The thinking behind the project is that when trouble flares, rather than just giving a statement to the Israeli police or army, video carries much more weight.
When they have the camera, they have proof that something happened. So you're giving somebody that was, all the year was used to being attacked and trying to avoid trouble and trying to go around the corner because he didn't want, and now suddenly have something to work with and to use it as a weapon.
It was with one of the loaned video cameras that Tamam's daughter-in-law filmed the attack on Sunday before she ran to get help. Violence against Jews as well as Palestinians has long scarred this place. Video may now be giving us a new and raw view, but for most people here, the only answer, a political deal, that remains out of sight. Tim Franks, BBC News, on the West Bank.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
I went to buy pickles, but all the pickles at the store were kosher. I didn't have the option to buy pickles that didn't have some type of voodoo Jew tax hex embedded into the price. They literally wanted to charge me extra for some baby penis bloodsucker to chant abracadabra in the presence of the pickles that I wanted to eat. I said, fuck that. How can it be absolutely confirmed that some baby penis bloodsucker did indeed actually chant abracadabra in the presence of the pickles and sprayed his holy Jew water ejaculate on them? There's no government regulatory body to verify that that event actually took place, so rather than risk the prospect of getting ripped off, I ended up buying the non-kosher / hexed bananas instead. Plus, they provide way more potassium without the guilt of supporting genocide and apartheid in Palestine. I gotta pat myself on the back for that joke I wrote about pickles, where there was absolutely no reference at all with respect to anal penetration. My comedy is obviously evolving. That's all I gotta say. I really learned a lot about my frame of mind when every time I typed the letters A and S in sequence in Microsoft Word, it keeps suggesting to me the word ass rape.
Where am I?
I mean, I'm all up.
What is this place?
Mayday, mayday, Mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Tell me, punk. Is this a paid gig?
You're now live in the mix with your DJ.
Help me!
Oh, roger that, roger that. Yeah, I'm just sitting here looking at my grass. I need to cut that. It's getting long, boy. We've had that rain and now it's starting to get a little warm. Looking at this grass, I said, I better get, hopefully it will dry out enough where I can maybe cut it today. I don't know. But might have to wait till it gets warm before it gets where it's dry enough. So anyway, that's what I've got on my agenda.
Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be nice and sunny, I believe. So it doesn't dry up today. Maybe tomorrow, late morning or early afternoon before it gets too hot. Get in there and knock it down. I got in Saturday afternoon before it rained and knocked mine down.
Yeah, I should have done that Saturday. I wouldn't have to worry about it now until later on. Yeah, we did this weather, man. I tell you, it sure gave us a break. Of course, I guess we needed it. I got my water bill today. Boy, that was high. I swear. I know I didn't use any water to grass any. I tell you, that water bill keeps getting higher and higher and higher. I can't understand it. It always adds some piece to it. And it'll beat us out, I tell you, with all this money they're trying to get from us.
Roger that. Yeah, you ought to look at it. Have you went out and checked your water meter recently to see if you might have a leak between the house and the street there that's running? I know my neighbor had one, and it made a big sinkhole in their yard because the water was running back down along the meter line there towards the street and out along the line there. They got them in there and dug it up and had to fix it.
I've checked it, yeah. Maybe 20 years ago, we put a new water line in all the way up, and it was copper. And I don't have no trees in the yard where it can get to it. And I don't see, I haven't had no sinkholes in here, so yeah, I was looking at that. I called the city a couple of times. They said it's okay, it's fine. So anyway, I just replaced all my my faucets were brand new, and I got new toilets, all that stuff I had put in, and everything seems to be working there. So I can't figure out where it is. I mean, why is that? I think they're not reading.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. I know my last bill was real high, and the ones before were low, so I think they along and look at previous years' usage and just make a number up. And hopefully they're below it. But yeah, mine, I got dinged with a pretty good bill last night. But I went out to check my meter and it had been opened. I could tell the grass was kind of tucked back down underneath the lid. So somebody's been in it recently. But yeah, you can. I bought Delta faucets for my house when I remodeled it, and I've had to replace the cartridges. You know, these new ones don't have just rubber seats on the bottom of them. They've got a whole plastic cartridge in there. And Delta has a warranty on those, so I got, I think I've replaced the cartridges 2 or 3 times, taking up some type of junk out of the line and messing up the rubber seats there. And those things are $30, $40 a piece. I'm sure I'm glad about Delta to have that warranty.
No, right to that, yes, I ended up, I got mold and put in my, the kitchen and bathrooms, and I'm pretty pleased with that. They have the same thing. They'll give you the cartridges. You know, they go by the store and tell them you got it, you got that bottle, they'll give it to you. Like I said, I haven't had to replace them since I've put them in. I haven't had no troubles with them. Again, I'm just maybe knock on wood that it's working good.
Now, after that, I had, let's see, part of that problem with the stuff in the line, I've got those, more like a sprinkler head, a big sunflower-looking head on my shower, and the little nibs, rubber points where the water come out, they started plugging up, and they gave me a new one of those, which, geez, it was, I'm thinking it was like $126 or something for that. They gave me one of those, and I had these shower.
What the fuck are you talking about? Alrighty then.
Doc,